All right, so all these steps are necessary to solving this problem. You're not prepared to take any shortcuts. First step is to take the starting amount and put it over 1. You have to interpret the problem to figure out what the starting amount is. So you have to be able to use your brain here to figure something out. Okay? So we're going to take, the only thing in here is the 12.5 moles of water. That's not much figuring out here, but there will be more complex a little later. So we're going to take 12.5 moles, and I can write H2O instead of water because that's the same thing, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to write H2O. How about that? Is that okay? And I'm going to put it over 1. That's the first step. It has to be written that way, but the subpart to that step is you must have units and species. You can't leave anything out. So the first step, put your starting amount over 1. Subpart to number 1 is don't leave out any units and species. Okay?
What is the 10 times 10?
Okay, that's the second step. The second step then is to write an equality statement for this problem. All right, we're trying to go from moles to molecules. The equality statement for moles to any particles. The equality statement for moles to any particles is almost the same. Yes, Shane?
What do you mean by equality statement? Like 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd?
We're going to have an equal sign between two different things. You have to do that. So you have to say 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. The particles in this case are molecules. The particles in this case are molecules. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. And you tell me what kind of molecules? Water. Okay, so if you go back and look at where we wrote that equality statement earlier, we said any kind of particles. Well, molecules are particles. I said that earlier. Atoms are particles. Electrons are particles. Neutrons are particles. Protons are particles. Ions are particles. Any kind of particle. Okay? And the equality statement then is that this is equal to 1 mole of that same stuff. That same species. 1 mole of H2O. You have to have an equality statement. That's step number 2. Subpart to that number 2 step is you have to have all your units and species. Another subpart of that is particles can be molecules or atoms or ions or electrons or protons, any kind of particle. Okay? Can be desks in this room. Of course, we'd have a hard time getting that many desks in this room. Couldn't happen. Okay? You have to have the equality statement for this kind of problem. And you have to figure out what kind of equality statement belongs there. Okay? In this case, we're going from molecules to moles. That's the kind of equality statement you need. Avogadro's number. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd is Avogadro's number. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 then is to use this equality statement to write an appropriate conversion unit. Okay? So a conversion unit is going to be a fraction in this class. And we're going to take and match in the equality statement those units and species that are in the top of the previous part of the problem. So in this part of the problem, this is the previous step, we have moles of H2O. So we want the side of this equality statement that matches that and put that on the bottom. So in this case, 1 mole H2O goes on the bottom. Not the other way around, not this doesn't go on the bottom. So 1 mole of H2O goes on the bottom. So if you have your equality statement written properly, you can write your conversion unit properly. You've got to do all the steps. Okay, so this is harkening back to Unit 1 where we had to take equality statements and figure out what they were, then write conversion units. Okay? Now, then the other side of the equality statement goes on the top. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules, that's a particle, of H2O. Okay, so that was what? Step 3. Step 4, we're ready to start solving the problem. Step 4, ready to start solving the problem. The first step in solving the problem, subpart to 4, is we're going to cancel out units that are on the top and bottom and species that are on the top and bottom. And we're going to check. We're going to stop here. Check. Molecules of H2O is what I have. Well, what am I looking for? Molecules of H2O. That's what the problem asks you for. So now that I've checked to make sure I've got it set up right, I'm ready to solve.
What was step 4? Solve?
4 is solving the problem, yeah. And the first step in solving the problem is canceling units and species. Okay? Now we're going to put it in the calculator. Okay? If I put it in the calculator, I'm going to take 12.5 and I'm going to multiply. This is across the top. Multiply. It's not top and bottom here, it's across the top. Those multiply. Put this in parentheses. 6.02. Remember, this part can be written as E23. And then hit your equals or enter button. Does that make sense? 10 times 10 to the 23 is the same thing as E23. Yes?
But when you gotta do from 1 first and get it puts on the bottom, so it's just when it's on the top, so you divide it.
No, this is all multiplication. $12.5 times, open my parentheses to keep the operations separate, 6.02. I'm going to use my exponent double E button here. Okay. And put in the number 23 for the 10 to the 23 part. Close my parentheses. I got the order of operations all set up. Hit enter. And that's the number that I get. Okay. So this is going to equal 7.525 times 10 to the 24th power. So this is going to go down here, continuing the problem down there.
What would you normally round the decimal to first number?
Well, I'll get to that in just a second, okay? Let me finish up with the units and species first, okay? So this is molecules. What I have left are molecules of H2O. Okay? And I want to look at all my measured or calculated numbers. Not these counting numbers. These ones here are counting numbers. Just the measured or calculated numbers. And choose the one with the least digits. Well, they're both the same number, 3 digits.
Hold on.
3 digits here and 3 digits there, yes.
Your hand.
And I'm going to write my final answer with the same number. So I need 3 digits. This one, this one, this one. Underline anything after that. And round it off. 7.53 times 10 to the 24th molecules.
Oh, come on.
We can do it on the same sheet. It's homework.
You got more homework? Sorry. That's the one. Is he the one or the other? Oh, is he the one or the other?
No,
for me, it's one or the other.
20.
No,
2.59 times 10 to the 20th.
Yeah, do both of them. Right. Oh my God.
Well, you got a few minutes to get started. Well, I guess not now.
How many what?
meters.
How many moles is that? If you have 2.59 times 10 to the 20 atoms of helium,
Google it.
how many moles is that?
Mr. Ted, is it different when you're solving for moles than another particle?
No, it's not really different. You just got to set up the conversion unit properly based on what's there.
On the first one we did, we were solving for moles and we
Right.
divided.
Right.
And then on this one we multiply.
Yes. All right. If you have a number on the top and bottom, you divide. If it's across the top, you multiply. Yes. This is homework, so do it on a separate sheet of paper, okay?